Tuesday. And God is speaking again. So.
All right. So I am dedicated to bringing you all the most exciting and entertaining weekly luncheons that I possibly can. This week, I want to begin with a segment that I call This Week in Rotary. I got a great staff that works for me, and they went out and they grabbed some slides that celebrate some of our achievements in life, some of the major things that have happened over the past probably 150 years. We call it This Week in History. Thank you. By the way, we need a round of applause for the assistant maestro. We've now got Carter Rosenthal, who was replacing Jim Springer so he can get out of the chair. So let me begin. This starts off with a graphic of Alexander Hamilton, who agreed to fight Aaron Burr in a duel. Burr shot him on July 11th, 1804, and he died the next day. It was on this day, or this week in 1913, when Alfred Carlton Gilbert received a patent for his erector set, which became incredibly popular. I had one myself. Next, American Major League Baseball pitcher Tom Seaver weds Nancy Lynn McIntyre in Jacksonville, Florida in 1966. Who knew? And then finally, well, maybe not finally, we've got Dick Clark, who inherited Bob Warren's locally broadcast American Bandstand in July 1956 and revamped it for a national audience of teenage consumers on ABC's American Bandstand. There should have been a graphic up there, and I don't know whether it's out of order. I don't know if you saw it, but Democratic presidential candidate Walter F. Mondale put forth Geraldine Ferraro as his running mate during This Week in 1984, making her the first woman ever nominated for the vice presidency of a major political party in the U.S. All right, guys, that's what we call This Week in History. We're going to give this to you every week, and hopefully it'll encourage you maybe to do some reading or to do some more research on the topics. So now I need to introduce Alton Yates. I think is he with us via Zoom?
Yes.
Excellent. Alton Yates is going to do our Family of Rotary report, and we got to congratulate Alton for two reasons. One, he won the Queen of Hearts. I think it was close to $2,200. And two, he beat Ed Lombard, who is the luckiest man in West Jax Rotary. All right, let's get Alton, get that report.
On to turn this video on.
Alton, can you hear that? I'm being told to instruct you to turn on your video.
Or not.
Okay, can you hear me?
Alton, we just congratulated you on your big Queen of Hearts win. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Congratulations on that money. It couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd like to thank all of my fellow Rotarians for their incredible generosity and for all you do for all of the people of this great community. In fact, all the things that Rotary do for people all over the world. No other organization like it. The birthdays that I have, in fact, I thought I had a list of the birthdays for July. I know that one was Sassa, and I don't seem to have the others, and I didn't get any reports from anyone on anyone who was ill or needed help. But I did want to mention Dave Collier's wife, Glenda. You know, Dave was a former president of Rotary, and his wife, Glenda, is having serious problems with her vision. And I would just ask that you keep Glenda in your prayers and hope that she can have a successful outcome for the treatment she's now receiving. That terminates my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Alden. We appreciate that. And yeah, let's include Glenda in our prayers along with the family of Jimmy Kelly. And you got to come back, not just to collect money, but come back just to have some lunch sometime. I mean, you're in a car, so you can get around. It ain't like you can't get here.
I'd love to do that. Miss you guys.
We miss you too. All right, everybody. We need to introduce our visiting Rotarians and other guests. And I think our Sergeant at Arms,
Yes.
a man who really needs no introduction.
Oh, it just,
What's your name again?
I'm not sure.
All right.
Just to keep this normal,
Oh my God, the people out there. The club looked like that for the last 2 years, hasn't it?
hopefully we're going to have a good year. I think I can see a lot of energy building in this room. You can actually feel it. And Dane, our ex, wherever he went to, it's good to have you with us too. As far as our guests today, people were very kind. They only brought one guest, so I could only mess this up one time. AJ, I understand you have someone to introduce to us.
So I have Chris Cook, who is the new principal of Riverside High School. So he's been the principal for 6 days.
All right, Chris.
I also wanted to announce that the district, our Rotary District, has awarded us another $5,000 grant for Riverside High School. So
All right.
we'll be giving that to the students so they can have transportation to all of our Interact projects.
Looking around the room and I don't see anybody else. Is there any other guests here that we should say hello to? And Mr. President, I'm going to turn it back over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Joe Springer. No, that is great news. Congratulations on the new job. I know you got a big job ahead of you. Congratulations. When do they start? August or?
It will be back August 12th.
August 12th. When did they start going back in August? I mean, when I was a kid, it was like the 10th of September or.
Yeah, well, if it's all after Labor Day now, we've done that for a number of years.
I'll be done. Well, thank you for being here. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I am your show today. All right, you want to put up with me for the next? Yes. It's always good having a preacher in the audience. All I need now is some gospel. Oh, but seriously, I'm your speaker today. I hope I don't need to be introduced. I think I know most people that are here. And I want to walk you through a presentation that I'm really quite proud of. And I'm proud of it for 3 reasons. The first reason I had the opportunity to remind myself about, because our member and what am I calling you? ADG?
Yes.
All right. I wanted to get the initials right. We had a chance to walk in together. And I had a chance to mention to him how grateful I am and was that I was able to go to pre-pets a year before I would have normally gone. Because it gave me the opportunity to think about what it would be like to be in this role before there was any pressure on me to get anything done. It's like drinking water through a fire hose. You think in March, you've got plenty of time before July to get yourself ready for this. I don't think so. There's just too much coming at you. I had a year in advance. And so a lot of the information you're going to see, at least in terms of the outline and the structure, I came up with at that pre-pets. The second thing I'm really, really proud of is that we were able to recruit an outstanding slate of officers and committee people to participate this year. This doesn't happen because of one person. And it doesn't happen because of great ideas that are on a piece of paper. You've got to infuse some leadership and energy into a plan. I'm really grateful for the folks that have agreed to serve. The third is that I had a chance to get that group together. All of the officers, the avenue directors, the committee chairs, and we conducted a survey. There were, I don't know, maybe 10 survey questions that were asked of them. What'd you say, Joe, about 10?
Easy.
And they all got back anonymously, and we assembled those answers and discussed those answers in a strategy meeting that really results in what you all are going to see here today. So it's really three foundational things that made this thing happen. Lots of great time to prepare. I wouldn't have been there without your support. Great leadership. And then I'm calling the survey, but the survey was just the foundation to a great plan. So what you're going to see over the next few minutes are slides that cover our slate, our leadership, our club goals, our club plan, and finances. So why don't we start with that first slide? You have seen this slate because you voted on this slate, but you may not have seen it in this format. As you can see, we have broken down the board of directors from the avenues officers from those that are on the committee. And I'm really excited that we've got a group of people, some of which are names that you haven't seen before, that are coming through the ranks. Guys like Will Tesh and Drew Bisbee, Mark Eldridge. I'm really excited about them, not only being able to support me on the board, but also taking big roles with the avenues. On the committees, you're seeing some names like Josh Harrison, AJ, Allie, some names you haven't seen before. So it's some new names. It's some names that are younger, they're newer Rotarians, willing to donate their time to making this club better. I'm really excited about that. Let's go on to the next slide. Now, these are the club goals. And anybody who is president knows that there is a certain number of responsibilities you've got to the club. So what we end up doing is establishing these goals that we submit to the club. And there's two important things you got to know about these goals. First of all, you set the bar really low. So when you exceed the goals, you look even. Am I the only? You set the bar low. And then the second thing you do is whatever Patty tells you to do.
Amen.
Patty told me what to put in these numbers here, and that's what I put into these numbers. So as you can see, I'm not going to read these, to you, all of them, but some of the things that stand out that I'm going to talk about a little later. Service participation. We've come up with a plan that I think is going to jumpstart our service. And so as you can see, we intend to have lots of our members engaged in service. Social activities. This has been a very social club. We've got a number of special social events that we've got planned for this year. And so we're going to do at least 9 in that area. I just want to move on down to annual contributions. You'll see in the club plan that we've got a big goal for member participation, and we've got a big goal for donations to Rotary International. So I'll get into that in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Club membership, you'll see under expand our reach is always a big deal. I did my budgeting based on 85 members because you're always going to lose some. We have a goal here of getting to 95. We're not going to be able to get to that spot without your help and support, bringing in new members to the Rotary. And then as we move down here to the bottom, I'm really pleased to say, under our ability to adapt, we have a strategic plan. We have an online presence that AJ is going to be instrumental in helping us with. We have a website with social media, and we're going to review our bylaws this year. So this is kind of boilerplate, but I wanted to show it to you. By the way, these slides will be available to all the club members. I'll make sure that we get them posted on the website so that you can see all this information. Let's go on to the next slide. All right, so this is our budget for the 24-25 Rotary year. Couple of things I'll mention to you, in the budget. One, it was important to me to bring you a balanced budget that I felt we could live behind. We've had some years in the past where we've been under budget. We've had to fill in the gap through retained earnings. And I want to lay a foundation where I bring forth a budget that I think is balanced and is doable. Secondly, you'll see that much of the initiatives that we're going to fund from the club are going to come from our reserves. So you're not going to see them on this budget. It's $118,000 and some change. I think we're going to come in a little under that on the expense side for a net income of $800. Now, there are 5 important assumptions in this budget. None of these yet have been approved by the board. I'm going to take this to my board on my first meeting later this month. The first is a modest increase in member dues. That increase is $15 per quarter per member. There's also a modest increase in our social ticket price. It's $15 now. It would be $25 in the future. We've got meals, as you can see, at $32 per person. We're averaging about 50 members per month, but I think we're ahead of that, or per week, we're ahead of that right now.
New slide.
That's on the expense side.
We need a new slide.
I don't follow what you're saying. No, we're still on the same slide. No, we need to go back to the old slide. I'm sorry. And for the, I think it's the 3rd year in a row, we have not put the President's Convention on this list. That's a $3,000 expense. And we didn't do it under my year. We didn't do it under Dane's year. It's very difficult to balance a budget on the backs of our members when you include a convention because it's so expensive. So we're saving some money by eliminating that roughly $3,000 expense. I'm going to take some questions at the end. You can go to the balance sheet now. So if you go to the balance sheet as of June 30th. Sorry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Go to slide.
All right, here we are. You'll see that the West Jax Rotary is strong. There are approximately $49,500 in liabilities, much of which are restricted contributions from donors for projects that we haven't yet put the money to. And our retained earnings is $48,271. So our total liabilities and equity total almost $90,000. So the club really is in a very healthy state. It's through those reserves that we're going to fund certain club projects. One, we're going to reallocate funds from the balance sheet, account 2130, to cover youth services expenses totaling about $4,000. We're going to be putting money into Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act, and that's going to be funded through that account. Next, we have a final payment of $8,000 to the Emerald Trail, and we're going to fund that through accounts 2110 and 2010. You'll see the combined number for those 2 accounts is a little bit less, but we're through our quarterly charity contributions, we're going to be making money in that account so that by the time we cut the check, we will be over the $8,000 that we need. Next, we're going to fund our district grants from balance sheet accounts 2125. Those are going to be up to $5,000. So the grant that we just got approved for will be funded from account 2125. We front the money and then we get a grant to reimburse us. And then finally, I will be asking the trustees to support redesignating swimming project funds and renaming account 2130 club projects. That way we can make investments in other initiatives of the fund without having to deal with that restriction. So that's the balance sheet. I've just got one more slide to show you. And this is probably the most important slide of all. Funny story about this slide. I don't see Dane, past President Dane. Where's Dane at? He had to leave. He had to scoot. So anybody who was at, I guess it was the president's dinner, but I could be wrong, knows that there's a slide that I saw when I went to the pre-pets. And it looked a little bit like this. At the top of the slide, it says effective clubs are able to do these 4 things: sustain and increase membership, implement successful service projects, support the Rotary Foundation, and develop leaders beyond the club level. So if you follow the alignment of this chart, everything that falls under those 4 pillars are in alignment with everything else that you're going to see in the detail. So part of our leadership plan is to insist and deliver that our president-elect is in pre-pets in October, and then again in pets in March. It's to insist that our officers and avenue directors attend the May district conference. It's to make sure that they also attend the district RLI, and there are subcommittees in Rotary focused on membership and foundation giving and PR. It's called the Vibrant Clubs Seminar, insisting that those individuals in leadership make their way through it. So I'm going to make that a requirement of my year as your president. So now under the avenues of service, you'll see names that you recognize. Dan Dodd is our club avenues chair. Brian London has agreed to support Dan in a very specific area where I need to reform the sergeant-at-arms position. I'll tell you more about that in a minute.
Got fired that quick. One day.
Our vocational avenue chair is Will Tesh. Our community chair is Drew Bisbee. We also have our international avenue chair, Mark Eldridge, the Reverend Mark Eldridge. And then finally, Youth Avenue is under the leadership of Judy, the rock star Matheny. All right, so these ideas that you see came from that brain trust, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to go through them individually. Some I'll spend a minute on, some I'll go through quickly, but just to give you a little color and insight into where we think we want to go with the club. Our goal is to lay such a great foundation that when Raul comes in here next year, we call him High Bar Sharma. He'll have a great springboard for the things that he wants to do. We are committed to offering you the most entertaining luncheons and speakers that we can find. And I want you all to help this man find those speakers. He's got a lineup for the next month that's outstanding. I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. But he's the guy you go through. I opened up my Rolodex to him, and I'm excited. I've got great relationships, for example, with all of the independent agency directors for the city of Jacksonville, where there are exciting things happen at the ports, at the airport, at the transportation authority. We're going to get those men in to speak to this club. My point is, if you got ideas, suggestions, get them to Raul. He'll be on it. We're committed to having a mid-year assembly. I want you all to know we're going to be getting together in the January timeframe. We're going to have a special meeting of the club. We're going to talk about what we've achieved in the first 6 months and what we need to do to stay on track for the next 6. We're going to reform the sergeant-at-arms position. Some great ideas came out of that meeting. We're going to get Stu off of that desk and into this club. We're going to support our historian in building up the best archives we can for the club. We're going to do a memorial video. It came out of that meeting. There's a lot of folks that a lot of our current members don't realize who have been members of this club over time. We're going to do a memorial video and introduce you to some of those members. And so I'm really excited because Brian's going to take on that task. He's got the background. He's going to do a great job. We're going to do the same thing on the socials. We're going to move the socials around. We're going to have them in exciting places. We're gonna invite entertainment to those socials, and we're gonna use those socials for recruitment. So when you come to a social, bring a friend, bring somebody who might be a potential Rotarian in the future. This idea of engaging our members who are either under the age of 50 or under 5 years of service, I'm so excited about. Josh Harrison is going to lead this charge. We call it the 550 cohort. And I believe one of our members has offered their home. If they haven't, I got a couple of members who I know will do it. So we're going to focus on those members of ours who have been in the club 5 years or less, they're 50 years of age or younger, and really do a great job of instructing them on what it means to be a Rotarian and growing them in a commitment to Rotary and to the club. We're going to do an interview with Stanley Cantor, which I'm so excited about. It's funny, I was talking to Allie, I think in June, about this idea of having a Women of Rotary social. I talked to another member about it. They suggested we do a Children of Rotary social. So these are from young people that are old enough to become Rotarians. We do a special cocktail party with them. All right, under community, we've added service weeks to the schedule. There are 3 weeks during the year in which Drew is going to identify service projects that we can work on as a club. Now you're going to have a week. You can participate as a club member in a service project that the club is doing, or you can donate your time, your energy to another service project in the area. We're going to promote those projects. 3 weeks out of the year, we're going to focus on social, on service. I got to step ahead of myself. We're going to sell out the Alhambra this year. I know it in my soul. We're going to sell out the Alhambra. And it's going to be an exciting we do have a partnership with the Riverside Rotary, where we've offered and they've asked us to participate in Beer Fest, and we're going to be doing the joint blood drive. So the same day that the truck comes here for us, it'll be here in the morning for Riverside Rotary. Going on to these next two, I've initiated a partnership with River City Readers, which is an initiative of Mayor Donna Deegan. She'd like to participate in our Read Right from the Start program. Right now, what I'm anticipating is that the mayor is going to make an appearance. And that appearance might be, is Dr. Thornton here today? So that appearance, is he there?
He's in Zoom.
All right. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but Mayor Deegan is going to come to West Jax Rotary and is very likely to help us expand and promote Reading Right from the Start. And then, as you all know, we've done the food packing event in the past. I'd love it if we could do our own food packing event. Follow me? Go down to Josh's office, come to my office. We could do our own food packing event under the brand of the West Jax Rotary. All right, I'm going to go past these next two pretty quickly. There's a lot there, but they're easy to understand. Under International Avenues, we're committed to 100% Paul Harris Fellows this year, and we're going to donate some points to people to help them get there, and also $1 million in total giving to Rotary International. At last look, we were under $15,000 away from that goal. We've already achieved one of our grants, and we want to work with Villages of Hope on another project and a grant. And then finally, under Youth Avenues, Judy the Rockstar Matheny, we're going to continue Dane's initiative of giving scholarship to all of our student speakers. That'll be $8 grand in total scholarship. We have a Interact Club at Riverside High School. We're looking to do a Rotaract at the School for Special Education in North Florida. And although my goal said 2 RILA students, I'd like to see up to 4 RILA students. 2 that are recommended from this club. They could be children or grandchildren of members, and then 2 that come up through either Interact or Rotaract. So I've said a lot. I don't have my watch on me. I'm looking at Joe. You good? What are we, 15 after the hour?
10 after.
All right, let's take some questions. Joe has a mic. There's a lot that I've
I'll-
given to you with regard to leadership, our goals, our finances, and the plan, so don't be shy.
I have a question for you. In that budget that you had there and the funds that we're showing, did that include the income from our Alaska Alhambra project?
If it's been received, then it does include it.
Mike Crumpler has a comment, question.
Mike, I see what you have in your hand.
President Tim, I brought this for you all. I want to thank everyone who participated this past weekend. It was the weekend before last. And thank you all. We had an incredible Rotary participation whereby we did 740 of these packets. And in the past, we'd only done 350. Thank you all for this incredible Herculean effort. And we are so excited.
It's gonna be great.
Your efforts and our club's efforts to include the mayor's office in this project. It's a very worthwhile.
It sure is. It sure is. I'm so proud
I
of
brought
that.
this, I brought this for you.
I know you did. So I asked Mike if he would bring that to me because the mayor wants to see one of them. All right, let's get some other questions.
A rock star.
No, you
Nice
like
one.
it. Don't lie. You like it. Everybody knows.
Okay, in your account 2125 that you're now taking away or renaming from swim projects into something less specific so that we can use more of it. Just from a historical
I
perspective.
said that better than you, but that's basically what we're gonna
Yes,
say.
you did. What were the swim projects about? I'm just kind of curious how it got,
You know, I don't know if I can answer that for you, but I will tell you this, coming up.
Josh can answer.
I'm gonna set Josh up while you're getting the mic. Coming up through the ranks, I have seen that money sitting there for years. As a service organization that wants to grow. Cycle the money that people donate. So that's the strategy or logic behind redesignating the money so it can be used. Josh will tell you how it got there.
So a lot of us have heard the stories. Judy, just since you probably haven't heard it. So I drowned as a little kid. That's where we started. It ended up okay. I'm still with us. But a long time ago, and Rahul began the journey with me through this club and our relationship with YMCA. This club and under Ed Lombard and who else? Mary Pat. We supported the YMCA's drowning prevention project, and some of that was to pay for certifications for children to go through. It's a red, yellow, green sort of program, and it's basically trying to educate kids who not necessarily around pools, but maybe around retention ponds. You know, there's not fences around all bodies of water in Florida. Another big part of it, and it was mentioned here, was transportation. A huge part of this club, what this club helped with, along with Florida Blue, Chase Bank, Rahul, am I missing a couple? And anyway, this Rotary Club, we sponsored a bus and helped get kids from their schools in lower socioeconomic areas to actual pools, which is a huge initiative because of traffic and buses and things that they couldn't count on and couldn't plan around. We bridged that gap. So there were a lot of facets to that. Mary Pat was actually teaching the swim lessons, and this just came up in a board meeting, and it really, really took off. It was really, really cool because the year it happened, one of the years, John Germ, who was the president of Rotary International, I'll never forget it. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, you're that kid that's doing all that swimming stuff, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And I'm sure someone had prompted him to that, but it was a really, really neat thing that the president of Rotary had heard about us and this club on our 50th year anniversary. So it was a real cool culmination. And I tell younger members, and not to steal from the 50 under 50, but that to me, I was probably in Rotary maybe 8 or 9 years at that point. To see the speed at which that happened, to see who got behind it, how Rotary got behind it, and the coordination of efforts that took place to make it so successful was one of the most empowering things that I've ever witnessed in Rotary, and it happened 2 years in a row. And I'm forever grateful, and I know, we helped save a lot of kids. So sorry to take up so much time, but it was a really cool thing.
No, that's.
Ed Lombard has a question.
Let me make a comment on that. That was great. I had not heard this. And that's the reason why having historic background knowledge is so crucial. Not only have we done great things, but it inspires people to do more. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Ed, what do you got?
So one thing with Alhambra, if we're able to sell it out and get more sponsorships this year,
Yes.
is there any chance we could raise the scholarship number if the money's higher? Because with inflation, $1,000, unfortunately isn't what it used to be. And then also a question in terms of the international project. I know historically the club's been able to do a lot of stuff. But hopefully we can spark something to get, whether it's a district grant, a global grant, something where we can, get that international train going. And we're looking forward to your Europe service. I appreciate you, Tim.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You're absolutely right. That's a great idea. Ideas. So we'll look into that. And a little bit on that. Right now, we're gonna be putting money into Villages of Hope and into the high school through a matching grant. Is there another level of grant making we should aspire for?
We'll talk offline.
All right. You have a comment?
Ed has a comment.
Yeah, Ed.
Thank you. This is really to piggyback on what Josh said about the swimming program. Many of you will remember a speaker we had here, probably a year ago, Leon Baxton from Communities and Schools. I know people were so impressed with this presentation. We took up a cash donation, which is, I think, the first time that had ever happened to him speaking to any club. Well, it was through Communities and Schools that we arranged for the students to be identified for the swimming program. So we provide the transportation, but they did all the logistical work in terms of identifying the students, getting the chaperones, and making that end of it happen. And it was a tremendous work of coordination with Mary Pat and Josh and members from the club and Communities and Schools. So just kind of an idea in terms of connections of what we've been involved with and how there are organizations out there that we've been aware of that are also helping us pull off some of these things.
That's a great comment. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we start to wrap up?
Ally.
Yeah, so for the brunch for the ladies of Jacksonville, West Side Jacksonville, and this is extended to the wife of Rotarians, daughters, nieces, any woman that wants to participate. I do have a tentative date. It will be on August. And let me just pull out the date, sorry. If this works, okay. August 10, which is a Saturday, or August 24. And if any lady would like to participate, they can always contact me. My number is on the Rotary West Side website. But if you want to just meet me up after any lunch, I'm always available.
We're going to promote that event. I think it's a great idea. Allie, I appreciate it. So before we wrap up, I want you to know that, one, I thank you for your attentiveness. And
One
none
more.
of this would
Is that not being funded any longer? Are we depending on the presidents themselves to fund it? There's a long-term implication if we are not, as a club, sending our president.
You're absolutely right. So the problem that we're dealing with right now is that when you look at the pie chart of how your dues dollars are spent, there's more money going out than there is coming in. So we got a decision to make. Do we make the pie bigger by increasing the revenues, which basically means raising the dues so that we can do all the things that we want to do? Or do we shave off some of the expenses, maybe prioritize them until we can afford them? Or do we subsidize the expense outside of dues? Long-term, subsidizing those dues is not a good idea because eventually the piggy bank runs out. So we're going to try to get that balance this year. And if it happens the way I think it can, there's no reason why in the years going forward, we can't get back on track. I believe it's been at least 3 years. I didn't go, Dane didn't go. I don't think Ike went. Yeah. It's a great question because it does have implication to what we talked about earlier in the presentation, which is, you know, basically creating that club farm team that can go into district and hire leadership. I'm glad you made that point. And nothing would make me happier than for us to have the revenue at the time that we need to spend it, that we can then designate someone to go. Thank you. All right, everybody, this has been a long afternoon. I really appreciate your attentiveness. Let me give you a couple of highlights before we run out. One, next week's speaker is Stan Cantor, past president, 1982, chair of the First Coast Supply Incorporated. We're going to do a special program where he is going to be our speaker. He's going to give us some insight into his experiences, leadership lessons, and we're going to do that as almost like a Q&A with Bar Sharma. It's going to be exciting. So you got to be here for that next week. Cassie Moyers has accepted our invitation to speak at the West Jacks Rotary on July 24th. Her name was brought to our attention by Gigi Carroll. She's associated with the Rotary Club of Bartram Trail and Julian Creek and serving on the Rotary Youth Exchange for 24-25. That's going to be a great presentation. And then this last guy, Marshall, is that his name? Marshall Butler, past district governor, has accepted our invitation to speak on the 31st of July. And he's going to speak and discuss the importance of the Rotary brand, as well as updating our members on what's happening at the zone and global levels. So before we take this test, I want to thank our greeters, Bill Andrews. Bill, thank you so much. Judy Rockstar Matheny, John Barley, Alton Yates. I guess my new producer, who I don't have a name for yet, but we're going to find one. Replacing the maestro, Joe Springer. And I want you to join me in acknowledging and showing some appreciation for the efforts of the Timaquana kitchen, staff, and management. All right. All right, Joe, I think you're on board. You're going to lead us in the four-way test.
Folks, if you would join me in repeating the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it true? Second,
Is the spirit of all concern?
Third,
Will better prejudice.
fourth,
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
and fifth.
Is it fun?
Is it fun?
There you go.
All right, guys, let's go make some magic.
Wait, Joe.